Hello everyone, nice to see you all here.
Recording started.
Recording started, great. Disclaimer about the lollies, just don't chew them too hard and lose a filling because I take no responsibility. It's just an enticement so that you won't be too, Alright, thank you for having me here today, and I just wanted to talk as a teacher coming into the technology realm of things, trying to get teachers on board to be enthusiastic about Moodle. So we'll move along to the next one. I taught out west for a long time, out in Moree and Dubbo. Dubbo for 8 years in a detention centre school for young boys locked up between 12 and 18 years old. A lot of them had low-level literacy and numeracy skills and were very reluctant learners. So to try and get them excited about using reading and doing things at our school program, I came to love technology to get them on board. I would make resources. So if anyone knows, does anyone know who Tupac was? A dead rap singer from the 1990 something or other. But yeah, everything we did about Tupac, I'd go and develop a resource using Photoshop or Microsoft Word. I'd do, minimal writing with the pictures and things to get them and try and get them on board. So that's where I came to be excited about using technology in my teaching background. Then I've come to Canberra and joined CIT, and once again I was employed to work with, it used to be, I'm not sure what our terminology, the department is now Trade Skills and Vocational College, where we have general education. So I started there, and now I've moved into the eLearn. eLearn is our name for the Moodle platform we use to try and get teachers using their online content. What I've found, even though I didn't have a big technical background that some of my colleagues do, having that teaching background and going in to work with teachers is a real big advantage to get the people who aren't confident and are reluctant to make a start, I guess. So they see me as, oh, you know where we're coming from, they know that they're time poor, that they really want to do well for their students, but they need you to really help them along so they feel confident. Because teachers, we're used to being the experts. So if they go into a classroom, they teach, they're very confident, you give them a computer and say, let's put it online. You're saying to them, we want you to be vulnerable and start learning something again with your students about how to use this forum. So it's being able to say to them, I know where you're coming from, has been a real advantage. And I love, seeing them move forward from any level they're at, be it just putting their resources up that they've used in the classroom, through to developing rubrics to do marking and things and moving along that. So they move along, wherever they're at, we try and move forward from there. Okay, thank you. As you know, and it's not just students, but we're all very busy people, we're all very good at multi-skilling, and it's families, careers, children, all that sort of thing that you've got to juggle. So even though teachers would love to think that students are coming in and wanting to spend hours and just revel in the content that you provide for them, they actually want to get into the course, get the work done, get out and get on with other things. Okay. So I just hopefully have some tips, and hopefully I'm not just preaching what you already know, in terms of making it a bit more user-friendly when you're developing your course. So first of all, using instructions. A lot of teachers that I've been working with, they are starting new, so they're putting up their content, which is great, and it's a really valid place to start. I don't ever want to make them feel like, it's a bad thing just to have a big list of resources up on your site. You've got to start somewhere. And usually once I get them enthusiastic about actually getting the content up there, then they generally, naturally want to move on and make that a more meaningful experience for the students. And as they learn, they do more. So instructions-wise, you wouldn't walk into a class and dump a heap of things on the table and let people work out what to do with them. So do it online either. Go in and make sure you give them clear instructions about what to do. If you can click on. So this was it. Granted, it was from a long time ago, but it's sort of, I still see it being done, is bringing in that long list of, you can't read it because it's so long in terms of the scroll, but it's like activity 23. So if you're in class and you might be told what activity 23 was, for instance, but if you go online and you've missed the class, you've got to try and work out what was going on. So that's just screaming for instructions, it's screaming for breaking up the material into related material, some visuals to some icons to tell them what to do with stuff. Thanks. Okay, another idea that I had that might, and sometimes when you're building from scratch, if you started by building backwards. So instead of just doing topic 1, 2, 3 down the page, the student comes in, they've got to look, every time they come in, they've got to look for the relevant information. If you built your 1 to 4, 1 to 16 topics, turned it upside down, and then you hide all your other topics. So I unhide topic 1, and I can do it with the eye on the side of the, when you're in the editing screen, you'd have the eye there so you can unhide it as your week comes up. But you could also, say if you've got a class and you're organising it, you could set it up to be released automatically so that if that teacher's away, they're not relied upon to open the eye to show the class what's on that week. In your setup, you can put in the restrictions what date it opens up. So you could, if you've got, you know, each week at Tuesday at 11 o'clock, that reveals the next section. Okay? May seem a fiddly thing for you, but it's a really little thing that helps students because whenever they go in, the first thing they see is the most current information. They know they might have to go back and do other stuff they've missed or whatever, but the first thing they see is what they need. Okay? All right, so it's important to try and be consistent and look professional, and it also helps get new starters going. So what I'm showing you here is, at the moment, I'm working with our team to develop a new curriculum. So all the teachers are being asked to write modules for the new CG that we're looking at. So instead of someone who hasn't written for eLearn before, hasn't put stuff online, instead of just saying to them, here's an empty course to go and build the whole thing on your own, by putting in a shell, which in this case is just a nice fancy banner. The subject guide is what they all must have in them, so I just put in the icon and put in here, upload your subject guide here, you know, change the name of your module here, put the name of your performance criteria here. So that comes in as a template into that class, into that development course, so that a teacher who's not familiar with eLearn at least has something to go in and start with. So they're not starting on their own. Also, it has things already set up, like I don't know, depends on your system. We've got a contents block in our course contents block in our 2.6, I think we're on at the moment, Moodle 2.6. Who's in on 2.6 where they are at the moment? 5, 7? Lucky you. We're just about to go to 7, I think. Yeah, I think we've got an upgrade coming. But so the course contents box is a plugin, and so we get things put onto our system according to teacher demand, and our administrators decide what would be the best for our institution, I guess. We were using navigation blocks, so where you'd put in your own little table with an anchor, so it'll take you directly to that section. So it's just setting up a link. Okay, but now we have the contents block, so that comes in telling me the top of the name of each of my areas, so they can go straight to it. Another good thing about using a shell or a template is that it stops that interpretation of good design. So we've all seen different teachers approach good design different ways. You know, someone who loves cats might have 10 pictures of their cat on all the different sections of their course. They might use lots of bling, lots of animations, lots of coloured blocks of writing. By using a template, you cut down on that interpretation and get some consistency, and your students really are wanting, you know, functionality and predictability. They don't need you to entertain them. They've got their own devices that'll do that non-stop all day, every day. Okay. Okay, thank you. So yeah, the pink pig, it's not related. Use relevant images. Okay, you might think it looks pretty, but that's an interpretation again. I think the heading here was like something to do with business or something, but it wasn't. The point I'm making is the picture's not related. It's quite big. You have to scroll past it, so that takes time. On a device, it takes time to get past. Looking down the bottom, the relevant pictures are actually links to videos. And it actually, on your device, that works really well. So on an iPad or a phone, having a picture that links to the video or whatever in this case, there's not too much text. So, yeah, sorry. Yeah, the text bit, so when you read online, and it's really going from that class to face-to-face classroom teaching to online, you tend to just, you want to get all your instructions, you want to get everything up there, but if you put any more, then even you can see and I know these examples look very small in this context, they didn't when I was doing the slides, but it gives you an idea of how much text will be relevant. If you go to the next one, thanks Anna. So that was on a course, and it's just a draft course at the moment, so it won't end up like that, but I did a photo on my mobile phone and on the PC. So that's a good idea when you're designing something. Grab your phone, grab your iPad, put it in and have a look at how it looks on that. Because that's the way it's going. We're all going to, like, look at us today. Everyone's got a device. And the easier it is to use online, the better off you'll be in terms of getting student interaction in your course. Okay, so if they just didn't go past that page. Right, thank you. Use your white space. So this is an example of one of our carpentry teachers has set up the whole course so that it's just a series of links. It looks really, that's off the iPad, so it looks really clean, and it jumps straight to, it leads the student all the whole way in terms of what they've got to do. They don't have to guess. Okay, it's very structured, it doesn't give them much room for movement, but they found that works best with the apprentices and things, just straight links, it looks good on their devices, and it's easy for them to follow. The other one was an example of a low literacy. Some people say to me, it's hard for low literacy people to come in and use eLearn and to put stuff online for them because of their reading. Lots of visuals and links to, so I could use that site, for instance, just links to some websites and things on those topics. So I go into a classroom, I've got a lot of really high needs students, so I can go in and get them, you know, we practice until they can log in on their own. They can go to that site and do practice doing the, Dell's reading corner's got some grammar and things like that, and they know and they get used to it, and I can say, you go and continue with that, and I can work with some other students. So you're giving yourself a whole lot of resources by, you know, you're able to, instead of trying to get around to everyone, if you can get them to be a little bit, you know, proactive in using just basic eLearn and going to sites. I didn't put up a ton of resources, I didn't develop fancy stuff, it's all out there, I just put links. And then they go and use the sites that other people have done really well and set up. Use your headings test if you're looking at a page, so in terms of how does it flow. If you can't work out from the headings what the flow of the page is, then you probably need to cut your text and stuff down, and it should be really, by just reading the headings, I should be able to tell what your page is about. Because that's how people read online, they skim. And if you haven't got them straight away, then they're not going to read your paragraphs. Okay, thank you. Write it down, Karen. I don't know how I'm going for time. 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. Okay, so resources are only useful if you know what to do them. That's the same as my instructions back from the start. Moving on again, thanks. Yep, so students want to know, you might think it's great to impart all your knowledge and put all your resources up on that topic because you want them to be the best they can be at your subject. But don't over resource them in terms of only pick the quality, the stuff that's really useful, only pick the stuff that's relevant to your competency or your subject. As much as you might want them to know everything about it, they only need to know this according to the competency. They want to know what's compulsory, what's going to help me in my assignment, what's not. They don't want to see everything you've ever found on the topic. Put things into resources. So instead of that 50-page PDF that you've put up there because you just haven't got round to building into something else, take out the 10 pages that's relevant out of that PDF and put it into a book resource, and also put within that book you can then put the video, the links, all that sort of thing, all that concentrated information together, rather than a list of 10 resources out on your front page. Put it all in the book and have that information centralised. In this case, it was an example of a book where we've got how they can get their own records at CIT, understanding what happens if you've got a hold on your account, that sort of thing. These are your chapters in the book. So instead of putting the 6 documents that he's talking about on the front page, so you're getting the scroll of death, put them into the book, put them into chapters, make it really clear what the book's doing. Okay, so have useful resources means I don't need it right now, but I can refer to it. Assessment resources, things like that, make it really clear. Try and build your content into your activities rather than here's the information, here's the activity. So I can't go into in detail, I haven't got time, but to build content with you in your quiz, what I did there was just in a description question in the quiz, I embedded a video. That's just through your editor, through the, what's it called? Little tiny MC editor or something. And then I put the question in. The only thing to be aware of, if you put in a description page, just when in the edit settings where it says shuffle questions randomly, just be aware if you've got information pages, that if you shuffle the questions, the order, then your information won't come near your question. So just have, and that is what this is down here, even though you can't read it. Question order as shown on the edit screen. So that way it'll stay with in the right order. You can still shuffle the answers, so if you've got multiple choice or something, still shuffle the answers, and that way they can't guess what the answer is and run through it that way. But if you put descriptor info into a page in your quiz, just remember you want the questions to then be next to the descriptor page. This is another example of putting content into the activity. So the music teacher asked the students to go and find some technology and put it in a database. They weren't allowed to use the same as any other student, so if they didn't get in quick and do it and find it, they had to then keep contending to find something else. So, and they put their assignment up virtually, put the embedded video in there, and then all the students have got that resource, and it's student generated rather than just the teacher put all the content up there. Another example of using in a forum. So instead I went in and I said, watch this video about netiquette, and now I want you to go and find a resource on the internet, be it a video, document or a website or something and put your link in here in the forum, and then everyone has to comment on someone else's stuff. So you're not just putting up the sites and saying, I'm the expert, you're saying go find it and then comment on each other's. So it's user-generated resources. Okay. Use the multimedia you've got there. It'll engage students, improve the appeal to more people. This presentation, for instance, I haven't got enough interaction because it's just haven't got the time or to be able to go out and show you all these things that I want to do. Would take hours to actually illustrate it all. But try not to just put stuff up as a resource online. Try to think how you can get them to interact with it. Okay. Yep. Students want to know, what do I have to do and when do I have to do it? So don't make them guess about, have your weekly guidelines on what they've got to do, clear instructions, deadlines, completion tracking. So if you've got that in your system, most would have completion tracking, yeah? Nod, 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 yep. Turn it on so either the system tracks it or they can, if it's an activity, I'll usually get the system, I'll say, mark as complete when conditions are met. That way I don't have to rely on them remembering to tick that they've done it, and I can track it. But if it's something that they can just view, then I won't worry about, I'll just say you can manually tick it off. How am I going? Okay. Make sure that, so online, I was a bad first-time teacher on eLearn. I put all my stuff up there. I said to my computer class, this is great, here, do this, and then I didn't go and mark it. I didn't tell them when I was going to answer their forums. I didn't, eventually I went and I did go and get their stuff that they'd put in a Dropbox or something. But the biggest feedback I got at the end was that she didn't mark it enough. She didn't, I'm asking them to do stuff online, but then I wasn't present. So make sure that you're showing them that you're there, that you give a damn whether they put something in the assignment box, whether even if it's just that they commented on a forum, you just come in and say, that was a great opinion, thanks for being there. Make them know that you're there, otherwise they think, well, you're not making an effort, why should I? It's just a place I can get stuff, it's not a place where I go to interact. Okay? You don't have to be, and students will get online and think you're going to be available 24/7 just because they're doing their assignment at midnight. And then they get quite cross that they didn't get a response for a day and a half. So make clear that you will be, for instance, on the forum on Tuesday afternoons at 4 o'clock to comment. That way you're setting up expectations that you will be there, but not that you're going to be 24/7 available. Okay? Take your out-of-date stuff out, move it down, check your links. A lot of people back up their courses again semester to semester and don't check that all the links are still there and things like that. Very frustrating, and it doesn't feel like a streamlined experience for the students. I think I'm just about there. Yeah, time. All right, just click. I think that's it. Go again. Yeah, provide support. Put the time in online to build the relationships you would in a classroom, face-to-face. I know it's not as easy, but just a few comments here and there will make them feel like you're there. Okay, and you've got to put the time in online. You've got to do some management, classroom management, how to use forums, how to work as a class online. Otherwise, you're just a dumping repository. All right, and one more, and I think it says thank you. Yeah, I didn't draw a breath. I'm very sorry, and we probably only have a minute for a question.
We have time for maybe one and two questions.
See, I did that on purpose. Carol, you didn't want to ask something?
I was just noticing that one we had the image links, and I was wondering if you use Marketing to provide you with the images.
I'd say they got them done. Oh, okay. Sorry, Carol was just asking about whether the images came from marketing, where I showed an example of using a link on pictures to videos. And yes, they probably would have come from marketing. They were WHS, student support, and